the world, and I'm coming to you from Ottawa, Canada, which is a lovely place, even when there's freezing rain, of which there isn't any today. So there we are. So I'm a minute or so early. I'm not even at 10 o'clock yet, but I wanted to jump on because I've been a bit distracted and I didn't want to miss my window. Last time I missed my window by a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to click on this thing down here that allows me to say, does it allow me to say this? How do I do this? Why is it not doing it? Am I live? I'm live. It's not allowing me to do it. Hang on. No, it's, well, trust me, I've said how to activate chat. Go to your channels. I'm at my channels. There we go. Well, for some reason, oh, let's try it now. There is a new technology. It says to activate chat, please enable channels here. All right. Channels are enabled here. Update that. Okay. Go. Now, is it allowing me? All right. Here's the thing. It's not allowing the chat for some reason. But it is now 10 o'clock. 10:01, and I want to carry on. So for some reason, it has done something clever. Please enable channels here. My channels, they're all live. They're on. They're all on. Everything's on. Go. Is it doing it? It's not. All right, so here's a plan. We will chat another time at a higher level. What I want to talk to you about today, this is very funny. What I want to talk to you today is all the hats that we wear. And the reason I want to talk about this today particularly is that my week has gone a little crazy because some wonderful, amazing things are happening. And I'm not accustomed to having so many things suddenly juggling themselves all around me, and it's been a long time since things have been that busy. So I wanted to share that with you. And for those of you just joining me, for some reason the chat isn't working. I can't see anything, so I apologize. This is the Facebook chat. I apologize for that. Now, there's a very interesting term that is being used these days, and it's a cool idea, except that it's a little scary and it's a little incomplete. I think it's because it's incomplete. They're calling a great business model these days the octopus business model, the octopus system. And here's how that works. Hang on a second. And I know you're saying to yourself, is she going to be wearing a hat on the end of each tentacle? Good question. So the interesting thing about the octopus is that unlike humans who have neurons in the brain that connect and create patterns and allow us to be very efficient, the octopus has them in each of its tentacles. So technically, the octopus has 9 different connected and yet semi-autonomous, semi-independent arms that can make decisions for themselves. Everything bounces back to the head of the class. However, they can work independently, which is why you see them do these most extraordinary things. And you say, oh my gosh, for those of you who are just joining, for some reason, the chat doesn't seem to be working and I can't seem to activate it. And I don't know why. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be click here. I just went away for a second to look, but it doesn't. No, for some reason, it's just glitchy today. So if only we had an octopus tentacle who could sort that out while we're doing this. So when somebody talks about an octopus business model, they're saying to themselves, Every department can be autonomous. Every department can have a head of its own that makes independent decisions. And then those individual heads communicate directly back to the core, except that no, it doesn't. Humans aren't that perfect. Humans get off on their own tangents. They forget to check in, or the automated system crashes, or one of them or more of them gets it into their heads individually that they're the king of their castle and why should I talk to you? And so it is in theory, in perfect world conversation, the octopus system is very cool if all the checks and balances are in place. But as Maggie and I have been discussing endlessly lately with her brilliant business plan, is that a lot of people aren't dotting the I's and crossing the T's. They're just, they're thinking that quick and cheap equals good. And then when you have something fundamental fall apart, everybody isn't jumping in to say, oh my gosh, how can I help? They're all annoyed and saying, well, how long is that going to take? When the answer would be, it wouldn't have happened at all if everybody was involved at the beginning. A lot of people are looking for shortcuts. They don't want the journey, they want the destination. Many of my author clients discover when they start going through the process of actually creating that they didn't actually want to write the book. They wanted to have written it. And it's a very different thing. So in our conversation today about how many hats are we wearing, many of us are making the octopus mistake, the octopus assumption. The octopus assumption, according to Abby Haggard, Dr. Haggard's Home Remedies, the octopus assumption is that the hat in and of itself, and when I am wearing it, imbues me with magical powers that allow me to think simultaneously in this hat and then in that hat over there. No, you can't split your brain like that. It doesn't work. We're not an octopus. So, how many hats are we wearing? And when I do my diagnostic with my first clients right at the beginning, it comes as a shocking surprise, not just a surprise, but an oh my God, no wonder I'm exhausted surprise when they realize how many hats they're wearing. Because octopus is also a good standard. 8 would be the hats. 8 would be the number of hats, not 48 or 28 or 18. 8. And how on earth would you possibly wear 18 or 48 hats? You're laughing over your coffee or your tea or whatever you're having. And I'm going to tell you, because people don't realize that the hats are invisible. So you wear the you hat, right? I have an Abby hat. I also have a family hat. I have my relatives, the people who raised me. If I had brothers and sisters, that would be part of my family hat. Now, sometimes when it gets complicated and the family is dispersed and you have to do a lot of traveling, you end up then subbing out the hats to sibling hats and granddaughter, grandson, grandparent hats. You see what I'm saying? So it isn't just family hat. But for now, let's say there's family hat. Okay, that's one. And then you have community neighbor hat, right? That's not family. That includes the HOA, that includes the Karens, that includes the, look after your dwelling, participate in the community events, right? You don't have to be the guy who like Greg looks after the accounting and the systems for his church. You don't have to go that far. But if you are a member of a community, that's a separate hat. That's 2, right? Then do you have any hobbies at all? Do you do anything that is outside of the scope of work? Do you play at anything? Do you create anything? Do you belong to anything? Do you like to travel? Do you have a pet? Do you create things? Are you a gamer? Do you collect certain collectibles? Are you musical? Do you get involved in those sorts of things? That's a third hat, right? Okay. Now, do you work? You do. Okay. That's a fourth hat. Still seems easy, doesn't it? Okay. Now you have a fifth hat the minute you are in a long-term connected relationship. It doesn't have to be an official one. It doesn't have to involve children, although it can. What it means is that when you are in an involved, connected, long-term relationship, their family becomes your family. It's not the same as your family. It's the other family. So now you have you, right? You have family, you have community, you have activities, you have associated family. That's 5. Work. Did I say work? You have home, family, activities, community, extended family, work. Now, that's 6. Now, do you do anything else? Do you have a part-time job in order to make ends meet? Yes? Do you have volunteer work that you do? All right, let's call that number 7. Now, here's the crux of the matter. It's called the new thing. And it encompasses every possible idea you've had about something extra you want to do with your life. You want to do agri-farming, urban farming. You want to do something different with your life. You're looking at mentoring. You're maybe starting a small business. That's 8. And you're done. That's it. That's all there are. That's the new thing. Now, the reason this is so important to pay attention to is that any more than that, and let's go back to work in a minute and combine it with new thing, all right? Because it hasn't really touched on a very important category that I belong to and many people that I know belong to. So I want to suggest to you this. You have 24 hours in a day. And I created for my business coaching and eventually my author clients something I call the Now What time scheduler. Because now what is what you say when you run out of time and you still have 43 things to do today. So when the Now What time scheduler is 7 days, right? On the 8th, on the column on the outside after the 7th day, there is total. And on the column to the left of Monday, Tuesday, and so on is things. And what you list in the things category, you lump by interest or focus. So for instance, sleep, right? House maintenance. You know, you're cleaning, you're doing the laundry, you're dusting, you're parking the car, you're mowing the lawn, whatever. And then you have getting ready. And this is you getting you and everybody else ready for transitions from this to that. And you do it 2 or 3 times a day, right? So just getting ready is a lump. And then you have eating, right? You have shopping. You have general errands. You have personal maintenance. You have personal time. You have work. You have commute. You have education. You have play. All those things you have downtime. And then at the bottom, below, just above the total, you have the new thing. And sometimes we have more than one new thing. So the new thing category is what you fill in for this new idea. And the reason you put it there is because when you get to you start at the top and you get all the way to the bottom, it's an interesting thing. At the bottom, you can write the word 24 across all 7 days. And the reason for that is there are always 24 hours in a day. Have you noticed? You never get to the end and have 20 minutes left or you've borrowed from tomorrow. No, when it's midnight, you've had 24 hours. When you look, and you spend 1 week getting used to how much time you're frittering away at stuff, right? Or investing deeply to figure out where your time is. Because here's what people don't take into consideration. How much time do you need to borrow from all the other things that you do to invest time in the new thing? If you have 8 hats, that's on your list of all the things. We had home, we had work, right? We didn't have extended family. We didn't have hobbies. We didn't have community. Those all go on that list because those are separate hats. And when you are invested in that thing, you're not doing the other thing. While you're commuting, you're not writing unless you've got an audio thing. And even then, you shouldn't be doing that because then you're not paying attention to the accident that you're about to participate in, right? Or the one that you nearly missed. So the 8 hats are separate parts of you. And this all ties into the whole Pivotry and motion concept that I came across and said, oh my, back in 2018. It's a thing I always do, have always done. It's a thing that most performers do, people in sales do, teachers do. And that is, we switch gears and we use the part of our personality that is most effective in the moment. We all do it all the time. Most of us are not aware of it because it's so automatic and it just happens. We don't pause to consider the cause and effect. It takes place here and here. Subconscious is survival, and this is creative and logistics, right? We just automatically shift. Sometimes we shift into the wrong one. You know, the little voice and the little softness that we use with a new puppy is not the voice that we use when we're yelling at the garbage truck guy who didn't stop again, and vice versa. If we just yelled at the garbage truck guy and we come in and there's a puppy, we don't yell at the puppy. The puppy just rolls over and passes out from astonishment. So how do we juggle this? This is the important question today, because we are all over juggling. We are hat attacking ourselves. We are thinking delusionally that each hat has a mind of its own. No, it's a shared experience. It is not the tentacles that are wearing the hats. It's the octopus up here that's wearing all the hats. Tentacles may be taking them off and putting them on. This is the one that has to wear them. And I want to tell you a surprising scientific study that's going to make you say, no way. Huh? Ready? Here it is. It takes a minimum of 20 seconds to shift from that focus to this focus. And I mean to click off and click on, clearly. No hanging on. Science has studied it. They've poked people, put stickers on their heads and shoved them into a machine and watched what happens. So you're working. You decide to be working in a hive environment, in an office environment, and you're busy down all the way down a rabbit hole doing something really important, really fascinating, really creative. And you're way down in there, and suddenly you hear a voice saying, got a minute? And you look up like this because, you know, and it's a person who has not tapped on your door, or maybe they did and you didn't hear them, but the door is open and their head is in it. Got a minute? And they're smiling. And your brain says no, or what? And so you say, what do you need? And the reason you talk like that is because the 20 seconds have not elapsed from your full focus there to whatever this is, right? And then the person says, oh my God, thank you so much. I've been asking, but people are so busy. You're always so good to me. Yeah, get on with it, because I don't want to lose my thread, right? I'm trying to be accommodating. and they tell you the thing they want, and they don't hand you a little slip of paper. They they give you the thing and say, so if there's any chance you could get it back for me by noon, I would, and you say, I'll do my best. And they leave, slam. And you sit there and you have no idea what your middle name is. It'll come to you in a minute. You don't need it right now, but you don't know where you are and you don't know what you're doing because you don't know what to do with that. You haven't looked at it. You didn't listen to them. They handed you something or it's on your desk and you have no idea what to do with it. And then you look back at where you were and you have no idea where you were either because the 20 seconds has not elapsed. So I want to explain something that's horrifying. It only takes 3 of those interruptions and you have lost a minute. That doesn't sound like anything at all. A minute. What's a minute? Well, I don't know. How many times are you interrupted in a day? Because you lose the 20 seconds on the way out and on the way back. So you lose 40 seconds every time there's an interruption. And that's good. Like 20 seconds is optimum, right? Imagine it takes you longer. Imagine it takes 30 seconds because what you were dived into was complex. And for those of you who have just joined me, the reason I'm not commenting on your comments is that for some reason I can't see them today. Oh, I'm so sorry. Which reminds me, Kim, if you're watching, we're still on for our call. So what I want to clarify with you is this. I used to do an acting technique, an exercise with my young actors who thought they could do everything all at once. And I would make them pick up something and walk around holding it. And then I would say, now hold it with 2 hands. So they would hold it with 2 hands. And then I would walk, and I say, walk around holding it with 2 hands. Keep talking, keep telling me the thing you were telling me, but I want this in front of you while you're walking. And it made them stumble. It made them stumble because now they had a second thing to think about. So while they were focused on holding this thing, first of all with 1 hand, now with 2 hands, now walk around and keep talking to me, I caused them to add a layer to their focus. And when you add a layer, your brain automatically drops a layer because it says, oh, I'm this now. And it takes time and practice to be able to do 2 things simultaneously. That's why I can't play the piano. Both my hands always wanted to do exactly the same thing. I couldn't. So, for instance, if you've ever been an actor, you go and you learn the script. And then you go back with the script. You've learned the script. You don't need the script. You put the script down. Now you learn where you're going to walk and what you're going to do while you're doing the script. And of course, the minute you start walking around and doing stuff, you forget the script because you added a layer. So you get it back, walk around with the script again, get the it's called blocking, get the moves, get the actions down and the talking, perfect. And now we're going to do a costume rehearsal. Everybody goes and puts on their costume. They come back, they walk out on stage. They have no idea what their lines are, where they're supposed to be, or their name. Don't talk to me about the tech rehearsal the night before we open. That's with the lights and the sound effects. Everybody's an idiot. Most people are an end table. What is the brain trying to do? It's trying to juggle too many hats all at once. How do we eventually get there? We get there by practicing, gradually adding a layer. But in the time period that we have to do all the things, to learn all the things, if we have not allowed extra time for the new thing, we are always hopelessly juggling and running late. You know, I think one of the most challenging tasks that a director has is allowing enough time for the new thing, because the new thing is not just the new thing. It's multiplied exponentially by the people involved, isn't it? It's not just the performers. It's the dressers and the makeup and the hair and the lighting guy and the sound person and the stage. It is madness. Anybody can do a play once. The trick is doing it a second time. And I don't mean the same show. I mean saying, let's do another one 6 months later. That is utter madness. And the funny thing is that I had planned this conversation, and then I realized that I'm going to be talking a little later today with a professional juggler, a hat juggler. She doesn't get paid to juggle the hats. She gets paid when all the hats stay in the air. And when I call and she answers, I'm going to say to her, we are not worthy. And if I could see the comments, we would be having this exchange right now in real time. What I want us all to do, this is for me, this is a reminder for me, and it is a hug for you. And it goes like this. Start with 8 hats. Give yourself permission to be fully present while you're wearing each hat. Enjoy every drop of that hat. When you go for breakfast, or you're going to grab a drink or a dinner with a friend, leave your phone either off or upside down on the table or in your bag or your pocket. Because what I'm doing on my phone is admin work for all the other hats, which means you're compromising the quality, the value, and the outcome of the hat you're wearing in the moment. And if you're not there for the full value, why did you leave the house? Why did you say yes? Because you're going to come away and say, I just didn't feel, I wasn't really, that's because you're trying to do too many things. So the octopus hat strategy that we must remember is that it isn't each separately operating autonomous tentacle doing hello my baby, hello my honey. These tentacles are giving us the hat to wear in the moment we need it. There's a remarkably odd item that Maggie and I were looking at. I forget which company thinks it's a good idea because so many of them have lost their minds. The typical scenario in that organization has been one human manager for 25 human engineers working on independent tech-related projects. One manager, 25 engineers. Sorry, no, my mistake. 2 managers, that's it. 2 managers, 25 engineers. Each of the engineers working on a separate project. So there is the 2-headed octopus, right? Each one has 12.5 tentacles. The decision that has recently been made at this corporation is they don't need 2 managers. That's excessive. I don't think it justifies their salary. So we're going to go with 1 manager. And we have a lot of work on our plate. We don't want to overload the engineers. So we're going to have 50 engineers. We're not going to have 2 managers and 25 engineers doing 25 projects. We're going to have 1 manager with 50 engineers doing 50 separate projects, all with new technology. That'll work. I said, when Maggie pointed out to me, I said, yeah, and what do they do the day the manager calls in sick or is run over or there's a hurricane or the house got fire? Do we have any engineers who can sub in? Do we borrow the single manager from another department? Or do all the engineers just go home that day? And there doesn't appear to have been anybody saying, excuse me, what happened? Nobody seems to have done that. So the first thing I want to recommend, That was just a throwaway thing. So all these stories are, in a perfect world, when I don't have a weight loss problem, time is limitless, and money is no obstacle. Could I do all these things that I think I can do? Well, the answer is no, no, no. And on top of that, time is a constraint, money is an object. That 7-day diet is not working, and it's day 43, and I don't care how much Jell-O you've been eating. One day I'm going to talk about that Jell-O program, because I know something nobody's talking about. So why are we trying to do more to be more? And I'll tell you, the answer is not, it was our idea. It's that somebody has told us that if we do more and we do it faster and we try harder and we reach higher, we will get there faster. And that is what is known in clinical terms a bald-faced lie. First of all, we already are more. We're already all that we are. That we show up or don't show up is our decision made in how we prioritize the things we say we will do. And the vibration people talk about is not a vibration at all. It is the exhaustion energy we share when we are trying to drag around too many toxic, heavy-weighted hats. Let go of the hats. Reduce the hats. Keep your eye on the ball, as opposed to stepping back and saying, I bet I could do 3 more flaming chainsaws. Keep your eye on the ball. Do you want to get an A on the test, on the exam? Don't try to write 3 exams simultaneously. Write each one separately. So the hack, the simple win. On another one of these fabulous ABCASTs, I will explain in better detail how the Now What Time scheduler works. But essentially, as I said, you list the things, you list the days of the week, you list the totals, and in each slot, you're putting the hours. Do it by hours. It's half an hour, right? It's a quarter of an hour. And at the end of each day, it's 24. The last slot just above total is the new thing. It's very interesting when Maggie and I started working together. When she did her time scheduler, she discovered, to her absolute astonishment, how much time she was spending scrolling. As soon as she had new things, as soon as she did a better breakdown, all of a sudden her scrolling time diminished. Her just snack and watch mindlessly was reduced because she had something exciting, something that pulled her full focus, something of immense value that meant more than this. And when she said, you know, once I get fully started on this project, I'm not going to have time for that every day. I'm going to be doing that twice a week instead of 7 times a week. And for the first time in her life, and the first time for most of us, we realize that our schedule is not being created or driven by us. We are not budgeting and prioritizing and focusing our time, our talent, and our energy. And that is a huge reason why we feel frazzled at the end of the day. And when we are a CEO, when we are the person driving the bus with all the passengers on it, that is the shortcut to overwhelm. My definition of overwhelm, by the way, is a combination of confusion, exhaustion, and insecurity. You put all those 3 together and you just sit there sobbing quietly in a corner. So to wrap up today, fairly short, but intense. And by doing this, you have more time for your scheduler. You can add in or just take a moment. before I finish, Maggie came up with a genius move when I had talked to her about the 20 seconds. And she said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to book time intervals between each of the things that I'm doing. In my planner, daily, whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm booking off time after it, not to fill in with something else. I'm booking off time to just digest what happened, to just allow it to settle, to take a breath and let it out before I say, all right, now then. And I said, that's genius. That's brilliant. I did not think of that. Well done. And the first time we were talking, because we have our meetings twice a week, the first time we were talking after that conversation, I said, how's it working? And she said, maybe the best decision in years. I feel 1,000% less stressed simply by saying, I'm going to book off. Because what I have said to people is every time you finish a section of your day, if you take the time, and you pick up your later folder, where's my later folder? You get your later folder and you fill out anything that has stressed you. Just write down something that stressed you and then draw a line under it and look at it and say, I'll deal with that little crisis later. And that way it's not chewing away on the sidelines of your focus. So Maggie's creation of the interval has given her not only time to write in her later folder at the end of it, but it has given her that breathing room that our brains try to tap dance their way through when we don't give ourselves permission to do it right. So the Now What scheduler, the later folder, your interval, whatever works for you. We started with a minute, and then she went to 5. And on really tough days when the world is too much with her, she'll go with 10 minutes between. And I said, that's a lot of time. And she said, it is. But you know what I get for the next section? 100% creativity and output. So that 10 minutes was worth it. Right away, I'm shifting into top gear. So there we are. So today we have the stories. We have the situation with where does the new thing go? We have the reminder that just because we have octopus capabilities doesn't mean that our hats can make decisions for themselves, because a hat is just a hat. It's what we wear in the moment. All right, my lovelies. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making this amazing every time we get together. I really miss seeing the conversations. I really feel terrible about it, but I will catch them later and I will check in with you. And once I clear up the paperwork after that, Miss Kim, I will be reaching out. And so now when I close, I want to say to you the 2 things I always say. Be good to you. Make sure that's on your Now What time scheduler. Be good to you. Why? You deserve it. And as a ripple effect, everyone else deserves it from you, with you, for you, right? When you bring your best, they get your best. It's kind of a double helix situation. And then after that, remember to hug your loved ones, because they may not know about the too many hats and they may need some help from you. Does that seem fair? Great. Okay. I will catch you on Thursday at the same time. And until then,